morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to 1847 Liberty. I'm Thomas Sarko, and together with my co-host Joseph Irene, we bring you insightful analysis and exclusive interviews of thought leaders from Liberia and around the world. Please stay tuned. Okay, guys, that's what happens when you're playing producer, cameraman, and everything. But if you can hear me clearly, then I'm gonna proceed. Thank you very much. So 1847 Liberty is a beacon of hope, striving to unite Liberians through the transformative power of storytelling and the beauty of wholesome arguments. The show is brought to you by Liberty Media Production Studios, a multimedia production company based in Minnesota, USA, and Monrovia, Liberia. Everyone on the show is not just encouraged, but expected to engage in healthy arguments, which are handled with respect, open mindedness, and a focus on finding solutions rather than just winning arguments. This is a platform for respectful dialogue. We value your input and will not tolerate disrespect, insults, name calling, or demeaning language. Panelists are not just encouraged, but required to express their views clearly and honestly without resorting to insults and accusations.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to 1847 Liberty. I'm Thomas Sarko, and together with my co host Joseph Irene, we bring you insightful analysis and exclusive interviews of thought leaders from Liberia and around the world. Please stay tuned.
Today, we will be addressing the current drug addiction problem in Liberia. But before we begin, this commentary, I will I would like to uh, give you a story. We'll bring you a story of someone who is a close friend of mine, a childhood friend. Uh, the story of Tommy Berry is one of resilience and courage. Please stay tuned. Okay, sorry for that little glitch. I will. So today we will be addressing the current drug addiction problem in Liberia. But before we begin the commentary, we have an inspiring story from a childhood friend who has struggled with drug addiction for many years. The story of my good friend Tommy is one of resilience, courage, and the indomitable nature of the human spirit to always cling on to that last string of hope, even in the midst of pain and despair. Tommy Berry, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for the great program. Thank you bringing me on the show to encourage addicted. Don't want to leave. Yeah, but telling you on ban from drugs, zero vaping. Yeah, but honestly, the habit is not. Yeah, I'm 10. The whole bar regime, the 6 year, and no ghetto. I do not know this. Yeah, at all the trouble, more than yeah, it's not good for number one for drinking. You don't even drink. I don't care your partner not for drink. The only thing you want drugs. And it experience it affect a lot of people. Is by the grace of God and my mind that was created. Honestly, Josh, every day I ask myself why I told Josh when I went to Josh, I told Josh, made me to take Josh, who tell me to take Josh. Yeah, every day I get. And
Okay,
now,
Tommy. I think we are having some problem hearing you. So we will take a break, and when we come back, we'll hope that you'll make some adjustments so we can get you clearly. Please stay tuned. Tommy, Is everything okay on your end?
Yeah, everything is good.
All right. Can you please take it from the top? Because we're barely hearing you, my brother. Tommy, you may proceed, please.
As I was saying, the drug was looking like gravity in Liberia.
Yeah, we really didn't get your story. Can you please recap?
Okay, I'm on complete 13.
Okay, we'll get back to Tommy at some point in the program, um, because we're struggling to get. But Tommy really do have an inspiring story to share today. It's one of resilience and courage. We hope we can get Tommy back on so that we can learn from him and be inspired by his story. So I like to begin on a very positive note. And one positive attribute of Liberians in general is that word, resilience. We are just one heck of a resilient group of people. In the midst of all the turbulent decades since the 1980s, we have always found a way to survive and keep our heads high above the water. The 1980s was a decade of coup d'etat and political upheaval. Then came the decade of civil unrest, the 1990s. And after finally achieving relative peace in 2003, we were once again faced with another crisis. Youth perpetrated uprisings. This was due in part to the frustration of many young people who were often fed up with the many challenges of post-war Liberia. Okay, I think I just got a text from my co-producer or my co-host that he's having some technical issues, but we're hoping that he can get back on as soon as possible. So many young people who were often fed up with the many challenges of post-war Liberia and the lack of foresight on the part of Liberian leaders in addressing the concerns of the youth. And as a result, most young people at the time turned to riots and violent protests to express their frustrations. And I would like to just show you some illustration here. So, before we move on, in fact, let me show you a very interesting documentary that I produced some years back, several years back when I was studying social entrepreneurship in India. And at the same time, I was working on a youth project for peace in Liberia. Please watch.
My country, Liberia, has experienced long years of civil war. The young people were not only the victims, but the perpetrators of acts of violence.
while we will continue to defend the right to protest within the confines of the law, there is no room for wanton violence and destruction.
There's a need for institutions that would help create that platform for young people to learn how to have civil dialogues, for young people to learn how to discuss issues in a peaceful manner to reach a common ground.
We all need outlets by which we can express our opinions and thoughts. When we are not heard and can express our feelings, it leads to frustration, which can lead to violence. Other ways are writing, painting, drawing, music, dancing, drama, etc.
Do something about this. We gotta create programs, and most of these violence come about because young people want to express themselves. In most cases, disenfranchised. They want to say something, but they don't know how to channel these grievances in a right manner. So this is why Eureka Cafe, which is going to be the first literary cafe of its kind in Liberia, is going to create a stage, this platform, where young people can come and express themselves free of violence.
Don't talk to me like I'm a child.
You said that here. We went where you want us to go.
I'm so angry right now. Because
You
what?
use the GPS.
And they say, you're so f***ing annoying right now. I'm like, girl.
Well, I got something to say. Gina wasn't here the last time, right? And she's here now. And she owe us an apology because she didn't show up the last time. I just like to piss people off because if I'm not having a good day, I don't believe anybody should.
Thank you. That was a quick commercial break. We're back to resume the presentation. So now our country is faced with another serious crisis again. And this time, it's even more deadly and has the potential to plunge an entire generation of young people into an abyss of hopelessness and despair. According to the Liberian Drug Enforcement Agency, the LDA, 2 in every 10 Liberian youth are regularly consuming illegal drugs. The United Nations Population Fund corroborates this, estimating that at least 20% of our young people are using substances, including what we call kush and synthetic marijuana. This is not just alarming, it is existential. And in a country where nearly 80% of our population is under the age of 35, and where youth unemployment stands at 2.13%, according to the World Bank, the implications are devastating. We're not just losing individuals, we're losing a generation. But how did we get here? The drug landscape in Liberia has evolved rapidly. In the early 2000s, a cheap alcoholic beverage known as drip, I don't know if any of you guys can remember, but that was when I was growing up. We had those little bags, called drips, and you could get them for 10 Liberian dollars per sachet. It was consumed by children as young as 8. Thankfully, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was successful in banning the infamous cheap liquor in the mid-2000s. But the damage had already been done. Childhood addiction had taken root. Now for the past 6 years, the past 7 years, I would say, synthetic drugs like kush became dominant. Kush, originating from Sierra Leone, is a deadly cocktail of acetone, tramadol, and formaldehyde. By 2024, it accounted for 80% of all drug seizures in Montserrat County, Liberia's most popular region. The LDA reported drug seizures worth over $1 million in just 1 month, with kush, cocaine, and marijuana making up the bulk. Then came another one that is called zombie. This substance was first discovered in Painesville in May 2024. Zombie is a synthetic opioid reportedly mixed with xylazine, a veterinary tranquilizer. Its effects are catastrophic. Users fall into trance-like states, unable to speak or move. It was reported in Buchanan that a 39-year-old man died after consuming the deadly substance. The drug has since spread all across disadvantaged communities, turning many of our precious young people into casualties, living casualties. What are the root causes? The root causes are layered. Liberia's 14-year civil war left many psychological scars. People are still traumatized. A recent study found that 44.9% of male combatants consume like 40. I beg your pardon. The study found that 49% of male combatants and 12.3% of female combatants use drugs during the war. Today, mental health services remain critically unsourced. The 2017 Mental Health Act promised reform, but Liberia still has only 4 psychiatrists and around 230 mental health workers for a population of over 5.5 million people. The World Health Organization estimates that 1 in 5 Liberians suffers from a mild to moderate mental health disorder. Rehabilitation is nearly non-existent. Our country has fewer than 5 functioning rehab centers, most of which are privately run and inaccessible to the poor. Enforcement is sporadic and often marred by corruption. For instance, in 2024, 2 DEA agents were arrested for possessing kush. Others were suspended for misconduct during raids. These incidents reflect a deeper institutional failure. More troubling are the allegations that some policymakers have financial stakes in the drug trade. Civil society groups and investigative journalists have reported that certain officials are involved in the importation and distribution of narcotics. If true, this would explain the persistent failure to enforce drug laws and the reluctance on the part of our law enforcement officers to prosecute high-level offenders. It would also mean that the very institutions tasked with protecting Liberia's youth are in some cases enabling their destruction. This is not just a failure of policy. It is a failure of morality. It is a betrayal of the nation's most vulnerable citizens. And our country cannot afford to treat drug addiction as a fringe issue. We cannot continue to do this. It is central to our development, our security, and our dignity. The path forward requires more than anti-drug raids and rhetorics, marches, fiery speeches. We got to go beyond that. We need tangible results. It demands investment in mental health services, community-based rehabilitation, and youth empowerment programs. It requires transparency in law enforcement and accountability in government. And above all, it calls for national reckoning, a national reckoning, a moment when Liberia decides whether it will continue numbing its future or begin the process of sustainable healing, long-term healing. This is not just about Kosh or Zombie. It is about the soul of a nation. And the time to act is now. The high level of labor underutilization means a loss of investment in education and training. That's another problem. So and also a reduced potential tax. It also reduces potential tax base, which are the young population. Imagine if they were working and contributing to the economy would be vibrant. We also look at higher costs for social assistance and bottleneck in fueling the economic transformation our country so desperately needs. Furthermore, high levels of unemployment and underemployment among young people can be a source of social instability. I have always envisioned a Liberia where young people can better their lives through the performing arts and the acquisition of skills that are relevant in a 21st century economy. In 2010, my organization conducted a needs assessment survey in an attempt to understand the root causes of youth uprisings and to provide a sustainable solution to the problem. And youth uprisings, violence cannot be, separated from the drug addiction problem, because drug addiction leads to a lot of social vices, which includes violence, armed robbery, theft, and you name it. So when asked about remedies to minimize violent behaviors, 50% of our respondents suggested the need for adequate extracurricular programs such as talent exhibition and career interest displays. 20% stressed the need for better family structures with good parental guidance, and the remaining 30% hoped for empowerment through vacation jobs. Such activities have the potential to reawaken that self-awareness present in all humans. If the youth become increasingly aware of their self-potential through constructive activities, the tendency of resorting to violence or consuming drugs for immediate gratification can be greatly diminished. However, policymakers must be intentional about designing a sustainable solution. Marches and speeches are not sufficient. The survey also shows that due to the natural tendency for anxiety present in all youth, any degree of self-awareness in the absence of their concerns, in absence of addressing their concerns, will result in unwholesome behaviors such as drug use and riots. This research also reveals that de-dramatization is a continual process. and a practical youth involvement in finding solutions for the youth, solutions for them to the issues affecting them is integral in any intervention methodology. The youth cannot be left out. So today we have a number of individuals in studios to provide some solutions on the current pressing issue that our country is faced with. First, we have Joseph Akwezize. He's a Liberian author with 2 books on the shelf already and another one in the works. He's also a historian. Most of his novels are fictional, but they have some historical context. We also have a veteran Liberian journalist, Ava Wolokoli, who is a senior commentator on this show. My co-host, who has already been introduced, Joseph Irene, is also here. We have Ronald Dobayu, our senior political commentator. I think he stepped aside for a minute, but he will be right back. So we'll take a brief commercial break and we'll be right back to begin the discussion. Please stay tuned.
Don't talk to me like I'm a child. Yeah, what is that right now?
And you said again, you cannot get that. You said again, we want where you want us to go.
I'm so angry right now because
You
what?
use the GPS.
And they say, you're so f***ing annoying right now, my girl.
No, I got something to say. Gina wasn't here the last time, right? And she's here now. And she owe us an apology because she didn't show up the last time. I just like to piss people off because if I'm not having a good day, I don't believe anybody should.
Okay, now we will go right into our discussion. Where is Ronald? Ronald is still not in. I'll take a quick. Okay, gentlemen, let's get into it. So the Liberian Drug Enforcement Agency made it clear recently that the country has an estimated amount of 1.1 million young Liberians who are vulnerable to drug addiction, with nearly 79% of the population under 35. This crisis threatens the country's future workforce stability and development. So I have a question. Any one of you can jump in and help us with some insight. So what do these numbers say about the urgency of Liberia's drug crisis, and how should national leaders respond beyond declarations and task forces and marches and fancy speeches? Gentlemen, Joseph, do you want to go first?
Yes, thank you very much. Um, well, to begin, we have to look at the genesis, the origin of drug usage and abuse. Okay, as I listened to your introduction, there were facts and challenges you gave. But then, what were the reasons that have led to what we are today? So you can trace the usage of drugs and its abuse as far as the early human period, especially at the time when the human species were evolving from one stage to another. Yeah, so that's around, according to an agreed uh, 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 um, suggestion, is around 550 million to 200 million years within that period, where you have the old stone age and the new stone age, which is also called the Miocene period, where due to the harsh conditions, our predecessors lived, like weather condition, protection against predators that have that ravage them for food. So there were certain beings that needed to use to survive, though they had the instincts and they had the adrenaline, but the instincts and the adrenaline were enhanced by today's what we call drugs. It is probable that at the beginning, our early uh, uh, ancestors, they to for example, the harsh weather condition or climatic condition at the time, that according to history, they did not live long because also of the brain capacity then. But it was probable that they started to inhale the leaves or dust for them to cope with these climatic conditions. As for the protection against predators, they used um, less durable weapons, like sticks, stones, and booms. So that translated from the evolution of the Australopithecine, those are tree-dwelling ape-like creatures. Then from there, the Homo erectus, the Homo habilis, up to the Homo sapiens. Things going to change even after the last S age, when the climatic conditions improved. Here's what happened: men discovered agriculture. They had a knowledge to domesticate animals and cultivate crops. But within that time, humans began to have permanent settlement. So guess what happened? You have overpopulation. So when population came, you had the competition for land, the fertile land. So people had to leave. So in that context, certain persons became disenfranchised. Some couldn't survive. The new struggle at the time, and so some who survived also tend to enhance or to cope with the new conditions of overpopulation, property segregation, and so forth. So you see, the issue of jobs for ages have been perennial. The conditions have been changing from one stage to another. Now, come to the present day era, after the industrial revolution, when machines were used for agricultural purposes, where people at the time lost their jobs, where 100% of human work, the machine now started doing that. So as a result, hello, am I audible? I, I'm not hearing you. Please, yeah, you are not audible, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. So okay, thank you. We'll take it right there, and when we get back, you'll continue with more
Okay.
historical insight on
Okay.
on the problem. But we wanted to bring in somebody who has lived it. Like who have been
Okay.
working for many years in the area of combating drug addiction here in the States. She will join us soon. She just stepped out of the studio, but in the meantime, we will turn over to our co-anchor, Joseph, for any follow-up question. Joseph.
Yes, sir. So I really did not get anything from your presentation, Mr. DZ. Um, what we are talking here is mainly about the escalation of the drug addiction issue in Liberia, where
Okay,
we
Joseph,
having
just before you continue, I think we have our guest who want to give us
okay,
some insight quickly.
okay.
Yeah, because she don't have a lot of time here today, so we'll bring her on quickly. Zizi and our good friend, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Zizi, are you?
Yeah. So can I proceed?
No, I was talking about Zizi Connie. I'm sorry, same name, first name and last name. Sister, can our friend please introduce herself and give help us with some insights, some good examples that policymakers in Liberia can learn from? Sister, you are mute. Thank you.
Are you hearing her?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Please continue.
Can you hear me?
We are having some issues with the connection. It's kind of buffering. It's kind of static right now. So can you readjust and get back to us, please? Okay, until we can get them, we'll have Joseph continue with his questioning. Joseph.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Not clearly. You have to change your location, and because your signal is really
No?
your signal is not good. We cannot hear you clearly.
Yeah, it's the internet connection is not very good.
It's kind of static. Joseph Irene, please continue.
Connection is not, yeah.
Hello?
Joseph.
Yes, sir. So, like I said, I really did not get you due to the connection issue, but we're talking about how Liberia drug addiction issue is escalating. Like the editorial stated, we have about 1.1 million Liberian youths that are vulnerable right now to drug addiction. And looking at our nation having a population of about 5.5 million persons, that is about 20% of our population that is totally vulnerable. So, um, this is a serious issue. But before discussing an issue, we firstly have to look at, how did we get here in the first place? And I believe you are laying the historical basis on how we got here. And I would like to ask, like moving forward now, going forward, what are some of the steps that you can recommend, that we consider first in terms of rehabilitation? Because rehabilitation is very, very necessary because the youthful population right now is being swept away in Liberia and it's a threat to national development. So, what are some of the steps that you can, you will recommend as somebody that have observed the Liberian society? What are some of the steps you can recommend, you know, moving forward for Liberia?
Sister, you are on mute. Joseph.
Yes,
Okay, thank
I
you.
think I'm
Thank you,
on now.
sir.
Yeah, like the other day, I posted on page after the march against the march on no say no to drugs. I said that the firstly there should be a monitoring and evaluation mechanism by
Okay.
organizers. Yeah, to ensure that these protests and the commitment from our national leaders are on track. So every time, maybe every quarter or every year, you evaluate progress made. Then, if it is known that there has not been progress made, then you remind them again. But then, what I want to say is that another thing I want to say, political will seems to be slow. Take for example the great United States. You got laws on the books, draconian laws that warrant the right punishment. But yet still, you have the prevalence of drugs in the United States. Just doing research, I observed that it's just dropped about 10%. It died in the United States. 10%.
All right, Joseph. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing in the scenario about the United States. We have someone who has expertise in working
Okay.
in this area of combating the issue of drug addiction here in the States. We will try again to get her on. Hopefully, we succeed this time.
So I'm not a leader.
Corey McFarland. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. So, and
It's,
I,
it's still not clear. We still cannot hear you clearly.
maybe, um, is that better?
Much better.
Yeah, I think we were much more as well in, right now. So we have to hold it like this, right? So, my name is Maureen McFarlane, and I have a program in the Philadelphia prison system that I taught for about 7 years to individual who has either involved in the selling of drugs or addicted to drugs. And my job was to teach them a way in which to transform their mind, their thoughts, and also to work with the courts to get them in the appropriate program versus send them away to jail and to get help. And as we're talking about your community and the increase in the usage, I think there's several things the government has to do, working in coordination with local leadership that is tackling the problem of drugs in the community. One, you have to educate the community about the danger and the advantage of drugs. Two, the government has to fund programs, which is the challenges for many countries, is they have to fund programs that allow for treatment of individuals that have addiction. And also we have to recognize that addiction is not just in the young people, but it's also in their parents, and older adults in the population, which makes it even more difficult, right? So good training program require good funding. And most of these programs require long-term treatment. So what do you do when you put somebody in a program, say, that lasts 6 months? Well, it doesn't mean that when they come out that they're going to be recovered. So after they go through those long term, then they also have to go to outside rehab. So their program where they have to be inside and they stay, they get detox. Sometimes it takes a year. That requires funding. And if these individuals don't have insurance, that becomes really on the government. And if the government is not invested in that, it's hard to treat a population just on good wishes. You need funding to do that, right? So it's about educating the population, have funding, and working with the local community activists or people who have organizations that work within the drug system to help the government, because the government can't do this by themselves. It's going to take a community effort, right? And then what do you do after they come out of these detox programs? They have to go into these, maybe many people that are addicted to drugs in that capacity. Most of them are homeless. So then you have to, how do you find housing to help these individuals to keep them in, and drugs also include alcohol. So we know that, right? It's not just, cocaine or crack, but it's alcohol. It's all different. It's pills. It's painkillers. It's many things that traps people, right? Um, so now housing, again, something that needs funding. How do you get people off the street? Because if somebody going to rehab and they come out but they don't have a place to live, they're going to end up back on the street, back in that same situation. So
Yeah,
it's a multi
regression. Yes, yes,
Yes, yes.
yes.
It's a multi-phase approach. So when you take this on, you have to have a very big picture. It can't just, okay, we're gonna build rehab and that's it. There are different, layers to getting help, and it's always long term. Because
Long term.
addiction, you can determine how long a person is gonna stay on drugs. Some people have successes for years and they fall back on. Something happens, some trauma happened, and it triggers them back again, right? So it's a multifaceted, it's complex, it can be done, but it's going to take a community, it's going to take the government, local NGOs, and a lot of education. And parents have to be honest with their children when it comes to drugs. And unfortunately, this is the way our time is. You have to start educating them at a young age to what to look out for, you know, what is the damage to them, right? And it's almost you have to hold it up in them and like, this is what can happen to you. This is what will happen to you. And many people today have people in their family or somebody they know that's addicted to drugs and see the fall, the negative of it, right? So this is
Yep.
and this is no time for us to be ashamed or to judge people in such a way that we can't even help them, right? So we have to have a different approach as a community because in the past we tend to want to shame people and think that's going to make them turn around. It does not. Addiction is a disease, and once it get hold of a person, shame will not help. They need somebody who's going to love upon them in a way that helps them through this very difficult period of their lives. So
Thank you.
we have to learn ways too as people. Yes.
Thank you very much for your insight, ma'am. Hopefully, next time we'll have a better quality. You'll provide some really insightful uh, tips for us to learn from, especially when it comes to preventing recurrence or regression. We need to develop some proactive measures, programs that will help keep people off the streets and off the drugs when we get them off the drugs. So thank you very much. We appreciate you for your time. All right. Thanks. Uh, Joseph? Okay.
Yes, sir.
You can take it from there. You were questioning Zizi about the historical side of things. You want to continue?
Yeah, because I was really concerned about how we got here. I didn't really get the clarity, you
Mm-hmm.
know, for a fact that this nation was not at 20% vulnerable rate. And right now we have 20% of Liberians totally vulnerable. And this is really, really a crowning issue. Yeah, like we said, it's not just a threat, you know, on the present, it's also a threat on the future. It's a threat on the growth and development of Liberia. So how do we get here and going forward? You know, what are some of the steps we need to consider? I know we just listen to, having some programs that will help these people, but also looking at the unemployment rate in Liberia. Yes, we have the rate of 60% unemployed youth in Liberia. So how do we look at that unemployment rate and reconcile it with the programs that we want to establish? How do we reconcile the both?
All right. So just before Joseph respond to you, I'll have Ava, who has been reporting on this issue for the past 10 years before moving to the U.S. He used to be a journalist.
Okay.
Ava, what's your take? Ava, you are muted. Okay, you're okay now, Ava.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I listened to Zide, I listened to you and Joseph and the lady who just spoke. And the drug situation in Liberia is a growing crisis. It's a serious matter that needs urgent attention. It's escalating, like you said in your intro. And I think all of the recommendations that you made and some of those are suggestions are very important. But I want to look at, what can government do to tackle the situation right now? Because according to the LDA, stating about you said 1.2 million youth.
1.1 million Liberians are
Okay,
vulnerable.
1.1 million Liberians are vulnerable. So I think the first thing, besides the rehabilitation program, government needs to come in first to look at our bordering points. All of our bordering points are poorer. We have close to 100, according to media report, we have close to 176 crossing points. And out of 176, we only have DA officer assigned to only 46 of those crossing points. So it means 130 points are just vulnerable. And because of that, you can see the increasing rate of drugs in the country. So anybody just pass by and drop something to Liberia, and this is alarming. So if we just have the rehabilitation program without tightening our borders, we're still going to experience the same thing. And
Yeah,
the
I agree.
situation is
I
worse.
agree. It has to be dealt with, approach from a holistic standpoint. We have to look at the border issue. We have to look at unemployment, because
Yeah,
people turn to
unemployment, one of the
drugs when
issues
they
that
are
people talk
depressed.
about.
Yeah, people turn
The
to
young
drugs for
people,
immediate. Sorry, people turn to drugs for immediate gratification when they are
yes,
depressed.
yes,
Right? They want something to
that's
quell
true.
the pain, to make the
Yeah.
pain go away quickly. So, what are some of the things that lead to joblessness, hopelessness? Lack of job, I'll say, and hopelessness is because of the lack of programs that will employ young people, that will prepare them for employment after high school or after graduating university. So I think approaching this from a holistic uh, approach, taking into account the border issue, the social economic issues, and the mental health side of things, the counseling, the long-term, counseling programs. And like my good friend uh, from the US just mentioned, proactive measures in combating the issue head on from the very early stages, when children are growing up, to start, doing some sensitization programs to help the kids stay away from these harmful
Yeah,
substances.
education.
Yeah, yeah. So Tommy Berry, he has a very inspiring story, but due to technical issues, we really didn't get a chance to hear him. I'm hoping that he will get back on so that we can hear his story and be inspired by it. But Ava, just hold right there while we bring on Mr. Connie for his take on the issue. Says it, Connie.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you for having me in. I think some of the reasons for the drug issue in Liberia, there are so many factors involved. One of them could be unemployment of the youth. People don't have jobs, so they try to resort to drugs. We all know the protracted war we had in our country, the 14 years of war. That also contributed a lot. And I heard our brother talking about the border. Because the border is very porous, a lot of people just pass through from other countries to bring drugs in our country. And one of the main reasons is lack of political will from the part of the government. I'm not just saying this government, because other governments have come and gone. And it's not just starting with, we can't just say Buakai, but the previous government and others have been coming in. They just say things. It's not here to say it, but I mean, implementing what they say is where no political will to do those things. So the drug continue, the children continue to involve themselves in drugs. Poverty is one of the reasons. Unemployment, I just talked about it. If people don't have jobs, they result to a lot of stuff. And also, what I observe is that you will be shocked to know that most of the people that transport the drugs are just being used as conduits. Like recently, we saw a lady, Quita, that was arrested. And there are reports coming, that which is not confirmed yet, that she was just used as the person to transport the drugs. People in high places of government, they are the ones benefiting, I mean, the financial benefits. They cannot leave it. They try to support these things. And if something is not done, if the government does not take stand, if there's not precedent set on people who are arrested for drug issues, today people are arrested, we will look tomorrow they are free. Tomorrow we see them elsewhere. People who are involved, whether you in high place or office or what, I mean the law should take its course. They should not be burying things under the rug because of people who are in certain positions. And I think the government also should put things in place, rehabilitation centers, I mean schools and things there, to try to help these people who are affected. If we don't do that now is the time. It's getting late. We should do that now, and everyone should be involved. I think everyone from all sectors of the society should be involved in helping these people. Those are our future. Even though there are adults all who are involved in the two, but the young ones, we know that our society is the youth-dominated society. The percentage is very high. I think, Mr. Sako, you talk about it in your intro. If we cannot do something today, tomorrow our society will be no more because of these drugs. People are dying slowly through the usage of these drugs.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it becomes really difficult when the people who are tasked with the responsibility to preventing these issues are themselves involved in the trafficking of the drugs. They're profiting all of it. So it is really complicated. But we have somebody who, has been there before on both sides. He's lived it. And we really didn't get his story due to some technical issues. Tommy Berry is back. I hope, Tommy, this time we can get you clearly. Tommy?
Yes.
Can you tell us what happened during your time of drug use, during your time of addiction, I'll say, and how did you free yourself from the addiction problem?
Yeah, first thing I just want to thank God, thank you for my family for so much support in my living. But since 2000, I've been in the habit, and I left the habit 21. Yeah, church, youth in Liberia. There's no ghetto. I never took church. I never. But in the past, the kush was looking at Grand. Yeah, most especially the kush.
Okay, so Tommy, Tommy, if I can get you clarity this time, what advice do you have for other young people who are still trapped in this cycle of drug use? What are some practical steps that helped you, useful steps that helped you get out of it? Can you share so others can be inspired by?
Some people leave drugs is difficult, but with your mindset, it's just a 3 days patient. After 3 days, you don't need to go home or anything, but mind got body. But most things are happening. Having said, right now we're having cars and buses leaving from here going to Nigeria every Saturday, and they are not searched. They put all their things in there, they bring at the same time, things coming from Sierra Leone regularly. Those are the two countries that are really affecting Nigeria when it comes to drugs.
Yeah. Tommy, did you receive any treatment while you were suffering from addiction? Did you receive any treatment?
Actually, it was just my mindset. I just, even it is difficult. You gotta be strong to bear that 3 day pain, that severe stomach pain. I bear that 3 days of severe stomach pain, and after a few weeks, I took trips, and my blood was clear in 2021. Yeah, but I never go to any addiction home or any.
No,
mental
no, no,
home.
no rehabilitation program.
No, 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 no.
And
I
and
didn't
and your
go.
main
No,
secret is to just stay away from the drugs for 3 days.
I mean, secret just stay away from it. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
As I've said, people got key impact to play on drugs in Liberia. The security in the weapon whole Bola region of Liberia because drugs, most of the drugs that come through in Liberia pass through the Bolas, through the Sierra Leone, and the two the two key people that bring drugs in Liberia are the Sierra Leone and the Nigeria. Yeah, as a former drugs addicted individual, I will tell you seriously that these are the two people that group of people that nationality that bring drugs in Liberia. The Sierra Leone Nigerians. Yeah. And those people, they even causing a lot of chaos in Liberia because they leave from here anytime and come by anytime.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. So I like thank you, Tommy. We'll get back to you. Let me talk to Joseph Akwezeze. Let's look at this issue from another perspective. I mean, it's okay to blame the Sierra Leoneans and the Nigerians, but what if we work on programs internally to deter our youth or our policymakers from even becoming involved in the drug trafficking? And then for the youth, like finding programs that will keep them busy during their idle time, their free time, their pastime. What about designing programs constructive to engage them constructively so that they can learn some skills and do some creative stuff, because I think alcohol, drugs, all these things, all these vices that people turn to is because of idleness. In most cases they have nothing to do, so they see that as the easy way out, when faced with a problem. And if they're bored, they just want to hang out with friends. So Joseph, do you think that closing the borders or putting stringent border protection measures in place will in any way significantly minimize the the, the the crisis
Well, as
from your
well, if you look at
experience
it,
in policy?
yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you look at it this way,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you have certain underlying factors I was trying to explain from the
Yeah.
genesis. These
Mm-hmm.
factors still exist, but I'm making perennial. And another factor is we talk about corruption. Yeah, and corruption comes to being when people are not adequately paid. So when you enforce the border, you don't pay the people, it will not be minimized. In fact, sometimes it will even increase. Then again, when our national leaders are approached on this issue, the first thing we get about budgetary constraints, which are sometimes true. But then how do we raise the revenue? When, for example, in Liberia, for the past 3 4 years, we've been struggling to raise 1 billion. That has been very difficult. 1 billion. So government will say we don't have the resources firstly to pay employees on time, to carry on corporate social development, paying schools, paying hospitals, all of those priorities. Then, on the other hand, why you are saying this too, I believe that there have been some initiatives, initiatives for the private sector, but these things need funding. How do we arrive how do we acquire this funding? Sometimes we lack the information, but donors who are willing to spend into these drug eradication initiative. So the whole thing is about the funding. How do we get the funding? Maybe we could say, for example, our budget lines when it comes to Ministry of Health coming down on it, maybe a line to be there for drug rehabilitation or drugs eradication. But it will be very minimum. You won't see sometimes 2 3 million there. Those amounts
Okay.
are very small.
Okay. Thank
So
you,
yeah,
Zizi. Ava, do you agree with Zizi that funding is the major problem? What about corruption? What about people,
Yeah, I did
misusing,
mention corruption.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that
I mentioned
I want Ava
for corruption.
yeah, I want Ava to just come in quickly. Ava, Ava, you are muted.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You're live. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want to agree with Zizé. When you talk about corruption in the LDA or the government cycle, and considering the border 2.2, like you said, even close the border and you cannot pay the workers, the officers, the rightful amount, they're still going to take bribe and allow huge quantity of drugs to come in. So corruption has a very, very significant role, and the issue of employment too. Like I listened to one of the speakers. Yeah, it's true that the young people need employment in the country, but equally so, there are some who are capable of sustaining themselves either through their parents or some means. For example, you have a politician in the country. He has money. He considers himself a millionaire, but his son is arrested. He's in jail for trafficking drugs. Musa Belete, his son Peace Belete. Musa has money. He's not like ordinary Liberian. He can spell the Liberian way. He is very able back and forth.
So that means it's no longer an issue of class. Like
It's like some people just feel like they should get into it. Then another example, there's a musician who was just arrested a few days ago. One Alonso. He makes music. People listen to him, they enjoy his music. But he was caught recently crossing from the Suriname border, water side, into Liberia. And he had the drugs piled up in the car, in the door of the back door of the car. For some of you who witnessed the video on Facebook, now he pretends like he's making music, right? He's getting money from it. But he also selling drugs behind the scene. So it's not only about employment. If you look at it, it's like people just, I think it's more like habitual. People just want to be into it. They see that it's the only way it can make them be somebody, and they go about to just misbehave and do things disorderly. So there are so many factors, and like you said, this is a very, very, very big issue. Needs a very holistic approach, and government needs some harsher punishment penalties. There should be a law that if somebody is caught into drugs trafficking, when he is punished and the next person sees it, he will very venture think about going into it. There should be harsher punishment.
Okay, let's hear from Zizé, with his experience in healthcare. Zizé, what about mindset change? What about some of the long-term goals? What about partnership with civil society? What about sensitization programs? What do you think?
Yeah, I think awareness is one of the major things. You talk about partnership with organizations that are in the vanguard of elimination of drugs, other things. It will be good for partnership and raise awareness on the dangers of substance. And I think drug addiction or the use of drugs is not just, even though we emphasize in Liberia, we are saying because of poverty, because of, the low class people using the drugs. But in other countries like here, in America, there's an interview with Hunter Biden. I'm going to send it to you. Imagine President Biden's son. He was addicted to drugs. He used a lot of substances. He used alcohol. I mean, when you listen to the interview, you will know that these drugs don't have borders to say, oh, they are going to put people or people who are to be, involved in these things. Across the line, who are affected are the very poor people, people who are unemployed. So I think some programs should be set in the country, in partnership. We all know the United Nations.
Okay, Zeze, I will leave you right there, and I'll get back to you. But let me hear from Tommy Berry. Tommy, what were some of the factors? What are some of the problems, the triggers? What led you to using illegal drugs? Tommy, you are mute.
Okay.
Was it by peer pressure or depression, or like most of my panelists are talking, suggesting poverty, maybe hunger? What really happened?
Yeah, most of causes of choice is
Depression?
peer pressure.
Or peer
Always,
pressure? Okay.
yeah. And,
Okay.
and trust me, a lot of guys believe they have it. Yeah. If only I will camp for them, rehabilitate them. At the same time, you start to restrict the bolus and put serious restriction on the import of those guys that bring it for Nigeria. Once you have a camp for a guy, at the time you restrict. After 3 4 days, among the 10%, about 8% will leave it. Because if you go around at the present stage now, you will find a lot of people are willing to leave trust as comparing to the last 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, Tommy, I got one more question for you. Okay. I'm really concerned about your personal experience. Okay. So, do you sometimes feel tempted to want to use drug again?
right now, every day, I ask myself why I told Josh, how I told Josh, when I told Josh, who tell me to take Josh, why I told Josh, where I told Josh. So every day I feel regretted about Josh in the past. Every day I regret why I told Josh. Every day I ask myself, eh, the last thing that comes to my mind is never go back over there. Yeah, because it's not a good place for anybody.
Thank
Trust
you,
me, it's
Tommy.
not good.
Thank you. And Tommy, I must admit, you
Yeah.
are very courageous to be able to come here and tell us your story. I mean, it demonstrates strength and courage. Thank you so much, my brother. Yeah. Ava Wolokoli, my good friend Tommy mentioned peer pressure, and peer pressure to him was the major factor. He didn't. Uh, it wasn't about depression, according to him, uh, or any of the other factors of poverty. Yeah. So, what do you think we can do as a society to, discourage kids from following their friends who are making bad choices?
One thing I can praise the God for, most of the church camp they have been breaking down and some.
Tommy, I'm sorry. I'll get right back to you, but I wanted Ava to just come in quickly.
Okay.
I will get back to you, Tommy. Thank you.
Yeah. I listen to Tommy. Like like we said, there's so many factors, Tommy said peer pressure. But not in all cases. I live in one of the ghettos in Kingsley before. I have friends who were smoking, drinking, and doing a lot of stuff. we were friends. I mean, I would meet them, we talk, we interact, and they would just do that thing, and observe them without participating. So what I'm trying to say is that you need to first make up your mind. If you just say peer pressure, then it's like any other thing can come your way, and you be taken away for that. So you need to make up your mind first as an individual. You need to say to yourself, no, I cannot. And we also need this parental care. We need to begin from the home to start looking at our children. Because now we observe that most of the parents are busy. Either people go to the market, go to the office to work, or some businesses or something. Most parents don't stay home anymore. So when you come home, you observe that all of your kids are into some gallery that they shouldn't be there, and nobody is looking after them. And because of that, like he said, they could also, fall to such situation if nobody is looking after them. I'm talking about teenagers, because they cannot
Okay.
decide for themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah, in that,
that too.
yeah, they
Thank
cannot
you.
decide for themselves. But
Thank
for
you,
his
Abba.
case, for Tommy case,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how old were he when he started, but I think most of the time you have to make a decision for yourself. We have friends around, even currently we have friends around who take drugs, who smoke, who do other stuff. But we can decide not to be part of it if you said no, and nobody going to force you into it.
Okay, thank you very much. So Joseph,
So
before we go,
I wanted to come in with something.
yes, please, Joseph.
Yeah, one thing I noticed that the reason why a lot of young Liberians are vulnerable to drugs is due to the fact that a lot of us are not educated drug wise. So you will not be vulnerable. You will not, reject something you don't know anything about. Now, the issue of push, zombie, and all these drugs. The reason why most of these young people are taking it because they are given a different perception of them. Allow them see these things as coping mechanisms, to depression, to anxiety. Some of these young people have social anxieties, the going gathering and they're not able to perform well. So friends tell them that, if you take this thing, you will perform well. And due to the fact that they are not fully educated on the negative impact of these things, they will go ahead and take those things due to, what their friends tell them. And most of the time, if they take these things, they perform well, they see themselves active in society, and they feel like, yo, this thing works for me, so I'm going to stick with it. And those things are addictive. So as they take it in gradually, they get addicted to it. And addiction leads them to do a whole lot of things. So would you agree that, there's a high need for education, for awareness in Liberia? You know, to meet in order to mitigate, the impact, the escalation of this drug issue, there should be some, some education because we don't see these things in school. Yeah, a lot of these kids are going through a lot, with problems from homes. They go to schools and they interact with friends, and at the end of the day, they meet friends that tell them that these things are good. These things will help you to, to open your mind. Some of us who grew up in Liberia, we are here in Liberia, we see these things every day. Yeah, so I think there's a high need, if you would agree, for education, for awareness education in Liberia. And that
Okay.
should be the paramount factor.
Thank you. So Zezek Kone, are you there? Do you think the current regime, the current government, is intentional about addressing this issue and finding a long-term solution?
Uh, are you there?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. I wanted to talk.
Is the government doing enough?
So, And what I think is every government come up with policy to say, look, we want to stop drugs. We, we all remember one of the speeches that our president gave, that he had zero tolerance on drugs. But up to now, we are not seeing anything done towards that. If you say the previous regime, we all agree they were the use of drugs too much, but you come to power,
Zizi, we are struggling to get you, so we will cycle back to the other Zizi. Joseph, are you there? Joseph Zizi? Ava,
Yeah.
do you think the current administration, the current government is doing more? And are they really serious about this issue, or is it just about rhetoric?
For mine also, I think the government is being.
I'm sorry?
I said for my, I think the government is being to tackle the issue. The current government.
They're doing more? They're really serious about it?
They profess to be serious, but actuality, we are not seeing it. You know, the issue is not just about making speech. We need some practice. This president spoke highly for drugs, against drugs power during his campaign. And it's almost the first time pointed at the FDA. To me, that process was undermined to see direct everyday into conflict exchange of putting against one another and putting them on the suspension that took almost 4-5. I think it undermined the process, and since then we have not seen anything concrete yet.
Okay.
It's possible they have, but like I said, they have been very slow because the issue is it needs some urgency. It needs to be treated. It needs some, penalty, some action, not just making excuses. Like if they can not with the campaign percent of the capital, we have our energy. The government has just been, and to me, man, not bad. Yes, you have a son, but that's not like somebody says, we need political will. So in my mind, they have not been doing much.
Thank you, Ava. Thank you, Ava. I'll go to my co-host to see if you have anything from his end in Liberia. We'll take a break, and when we get back, we'll be getting our final statements, our closing statements. This has been a really interesting discussion on the issue of drug addiction in Liberia. We'll take this one, and when we come back, then Joseph will.
Don't talk to me like I'm a child. Yeah, tell it right now.
And you said that you cannot get that. You said that we want to go, you're gonna go.
I'm so angry right now. Because
you
what?
the GPS.
And they say, you're so f***ing annoying right now. I'm like, girl.
No, I got something to say. Gina wasn't here the last time, right? And she's here now. And she owe us an apology because she didn't show up the last time. I just like to piss people off because if I'm not having a good day, I don't believe anybody should.
Okay, Joseph. Any final thoughts or questions? Joseph, you're mute. Joseph? Joseph Irene, my co-host. We have too many similar names.
So many Joseph.
two,
Yeah,
two
a
Joseph.
lot of Josephs.
Yeah, two Josephs and two Zizis. Joseph, any final thought from your end? Any import, any development from Liberia before we close?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I just want to appreciate everyone for their time here. This discussion was actually very insightful, and there are a lot of things that I didn't know, could be, the reasons behind this whole drug addiction thing. And it was really, really insightful, and I'm grateful to all of the panelists here for your insightful input. And I just want to say thank you and look forward to more discussions with you. Yeah, so thank you.
Gentlemen, your closing statements. We begin with you, Ava.
Yeah, Joseph said the the discussion was very good. I hope we will continue to about drug in our country. Not be the end, and we should create more awareness, like because the kids they are lied to. Like Joseph said, they tell them something that thing going to have some positive impact, whereas we know it's going to destroy you. So most of the young people in the country they are not aware of the negative impact on the system. So government, society, the school, we all need to step up to create awareness and inform the young people that this thing is not good health. It's going to destroy you. It's going to make your life. So we need to do more awareness to keep talking about it. I think the discussion was necessary. Probably was very important, and thank all the panelists to have this important discussion.
Thank you very much, Ava. We'll hear from Tommy Berry. And then final uh, comments.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for the program. I want to thank everyone for that. And Liberia is all we have. Yeah.
Thank you, Tommy, and thank you so much for your courage. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing your story with us today. We appreciate you, and we wish you the best of luck in your recovery. We pray that you stay on that path of recovery and have a good life.
Where is Tommy? Where is he? Liberia?
Yeah, he's in Liberia. Have a good life, my friend. Joseph Akwezeze, are you there? Any final thoughts? Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. This has been a very inspiring one. We'll take this and we will close. Oh, Joseph, we have Zizi Kwani. Zizi Kwani, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yes, I just want to say thank you to both for you, the host for this program, and I hope that we will continue to talk about these issues. These issues are very important and they are affecting the fabric of our youth and of our society. I hope today will not be the last time for this issue of the drug, this topic on the drugs in Liberia. And the lady that I just brought in, she will be available anytime. She will be helping us to take things, further. Even if we need help to do some connections, she can help us on this end. One thing I wanted to say again lastly is that the issue of the the peer pressure that somebody talk about is serious, and I think I agree 100%. And the parents can play a major role into trying to get rid of that. If you have your child who has a friend, and you know that friend is involved in something, it start in the home. All parents are to be involved 100%. Because if you can talk to your child, the child will not be able to connect with somebody out there, even though that they are best friends. But the things that they are doing out there, they will not be able to continue to do it with them, even though they are friends. Or you find out that your child is know your child friend. The one thing I wanted to say, your children cannot be friends with people that you don't know. You don't know what they involve in, even though the parents of your child friend parents. So parent to parent, you all can talk together, and then you'll be able to know what that person is involved in. That will help to eliminate some of these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zeze. We appreciate
Yes.
you for your time and your
Yes.
input. We'll take this, and when we come back, we'll be wrapping up. Okay, today we've heard a lot of excuses. We've heard a lot of the symptoms, the problems, but you know, I want us to focus on hope. I want us to take time to reflect on the brighter side. Um, but before that, I would like to briefly talk about the essence of hope in the midst of the challenges that we continue to face through the history of our beloved
I think
nation, throughout the history.
they just talking afterward.
Oh,
Samuel, I was too loud and sorry, man.
somebody is still okay. Sorry for that interruption. So let's talk about hope. And I have a message of hope. So hope is a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. That's how it is defined. And it is the stamina on which my life flows. In my life, in my entire life, I have never relied on any human assurance to succeed in anything. I always stick my head up high in the sky, wishing and wondering, often fantasizing, or who knows what. Even though I have been baptized a bona fide disciple of Christ, I have never behaved like a priest or even pretended to be so holy or blameless. However, deep down within my heart, there is an absolute belief that the Holy Ghost is always with me. In every heartbeat and every time my life seems to cease, especially when the going gets tough. And that's when I pull my last string of hope. I pulled my last string of hope to besiege the muscle of the omnipotent, and he relieves my pain, hitches out of my way, heavy burden off my shoulders. And it is often astounding how so sure a mortal man can be in times of tribulation. Just always believing and hoping for a change to happen. Some people call it sheer coincidence, luck, or however you will. But let me tell you today, my brothers and sisters, that in every one of us lives an indomitable spirit. In every one of us, there is an indomitable spirit with the ability to connect to the omnipotent Creator for refill whenever we are downhearted, hopeless, and completely empty. Every man is created in the likeness of the great Creator who reigns over all creation. Hope is the instrument that propels the mind to plug into the repository of the supreme entity for system reset and battery recharge. Keep hope alive, and remember that everything will eventually come to you in full circle. I will see you next time. But until we meet again, please take good care of yourselves and be kind to everyone around you. Thank you.
Don't talk to me like I'm a child. Yeah, what is that here?
And you said again, you cannot get that. You said again, we want to go, you're gonna have to go.
Tell I'm so angry right now. Because
You
what?
use the GPS.
And they say, you're so f***ing annoying right now. I'm like, girl.
Well, I got something to say. Gina wasn't here the last time, right? And she's here now. And she owe us an apology because she didn't show up the last time. I just like to piss people off because if I'm not having a good day, I don't believe anybody should.